So I want to talk about the recap, day 32 of protests in Elizabeth City over the assassination of Andrew Brown took place yesterday. I want to say apologies for the lack of quality in this thread. For whatever reason, I could not post video clips yesterday. I did have a bunch of video recorded, but I didn't post any clips because I just, by whatever, like 5G, 4G, whatever the fuck I have now, wasn't working. So I can only post videos. So I'm just going to give a recap from memory. What we did, real quick, the march was scheduled for 1 p.m., but the permit was scheduled for 5 p.m., and the city declined to change the permit from 5 p.m. to 1 p.m. Now, I want to say the police didn't do anything. They didn't arrest anyone. They didn't threaten arrest, right? So they understood that, hey, don't fuck with us, bitch. I guess to some capacity they understood that. They viewed it as not worth engaging, I should say. So we marched down Erringhouse Street, which is, again, the main road of commerce where all the fast food restaurants are, all the big name chain restaurants, that kind of shit. We marched down and then back around and then back to public safety and then went home. I just want to say yesterday was so goddamn motherfucking hot. It was so fucking hot. We had some hardcore energy levels, though. Like, a lot of people were in cars. Like, we started off with some good, healthy numbers, and then people were like, bitch, motherfucker, I got to get in my car for some air conditioning, right? But we had some really good high-energy chants, and, we had a good time. We spread out and tried to, slowly take the road because, again, we had a lot of people in cars, right? So we're trying to, slow down, that kind of stuff. And then, we went back to public safety and plotted for it tomorrow. So yesterday was, now I don't want to say it was uneventful. We had someone drive their car through the police line at some point. We had a bunch of angry racists yell at us and stuff. So it's every day is a risk. And it just so happens by the grace of God, nothing out of the ordinary happened yesterday. And that was good considering I didn't have the ability to post videos in real time. But again, I do have clips. I might post some later. We'll see. But either way, again, the protest, the idea is that as long as a demonstration happens at least once a day, we keep the momentum going and we're branching off into other forms of protest. And so again, day 32 was relatively short. We marched for about, 2 hours. I mean, I guess it was relatively standard. It was just I didn't get any video footage. It was funny. On the way home, I was so dehydrated. I ran into the dollar store that was on Erringhouse and I bought an energy drink and then chugged it and then ran back into the crowd. And then by the time the energy drink was kicking in, I was popping off and then the march ended. But it was a good time. And I just want to say again, the most important aspect of protesting is to learn your community, to meet the people that live in your community, to get to know more people, to talk to more people, to develop your relationships with people, to get more attached to people, to, be more comfortable being around with people, to, wanting to, help other people more, right? And so every single day that the protests occur, right, those bonds are being strengthened. You know what I mean? And so, that's an important thing to note. And so, again, even if protests, there are certain days that are a little bit laxer or have lulls, right? That the main goal of community, strengthening is always constantly being improved. And that is why, again, I say it's so important. Yes, should we be trying to branch out our protest actions more so? Absolutely, I want to. But at the end of the day, right, the most effective long-term strategic thing that we can do is to learn each other's first names, right? Learn each other's histories, learn each other's strengths and weaknesses, and to be there for one another. That is the most important goddamn aspect of daily protests, right? And I feel like Elizabeth City is doing that perfectly, right? Because it's a small town, because we have a group of maybe 50 people that show up every single day, and we know who those 50 people are, and we're comfortable with those, and that's, it's getting to the point where again, this is the beginning to something. You need to understand, you're not going to get change. You're not going to change a system in 32 days. It's just not going to happen, right? But you can build the organizational apparatus that does eventually change the system, Not within 30 days, but let's say within 30 weeks. You know what I mean? And so, like, that right now, at least in my opinion, is the most important goal. Right? Like, Robert Meads is not going to get arrested and charged with murder and convicted in the next month. That's not going to happen. If that did happen, or Robert Morgan, I should say. If that did happen, like, it would take a year. Look at what happened with George Floyd. It took, like, and that was expedited, right? Like, it's going to take at least a year for that to happen, if it does happen. And let's be honest, it's not going to happen, right? Right. Tommy Wooten is probably going to win re-election. Like, I'm just, like, throwing these things out there. Yes, it, like, would we love to, like, vote them out in big numbers or whatever? Like, that would be, wouldn't that be amazing? But you need to understand, Tommy Wooten's probably going to win re-election. Does that mean we shouldn't organize against that reality? Absolutely not. We should organize against that reality. But we have to expect, like, again, like, these people exist to hate us. They exist to hurt us, and they exist to break us up, and they exist to make us afraid of one another. Look at the drug war. Look, you've got, again, half of Elizabeth City thinks that Andrew Brown was like a hardcore gangbanger trying to, like, kill people. Why do they think that? How do you go from never hearing about any, like, someone ever existing ever to thinking that they're a murderer gangster who's going to kill your children? Right? The role of Andrew Womble, the role of the sheriff's department, the police, the role of these institutions, the judge, right? The role of these people is to sow that atomization and discontent. Now, again, do they want to break up the 50 people that show up every single day at a protest? Yes. Right? But that's not their only goal. They know that they've successfully brainwashed half of Elizabeth City. Now, again, half of the city voted for Trump, right? That kind of scenario. They know that about half of the city thinks that they know that. They know that half of the city thinks that Andrew Brown was a hardcore gangster criminal who, like, probably killed and beat, like, 30,000 kids or whatever. And, like, he was, you know, it's a good thing that he was executed because he was right about to go drive to do more crime. Like, they've successfully brainwashed a good chunk of Elizabeth City into thinking that, right? And so that's, like, you have to understand, that is their role. And what we have to do is overcome that. And it doesn't happen in 32 days. That happens over a long period of time. And the most important thing, right, again, because at the end of the day, what does convincing people that their neighbors are drug-dealing criminals that are going to kill their family members, what does that do? It makes them afraid of their neighbors. What does that do? It makes them afraid of the black people. What does it do? It makes them afraid of people that live on, quote, the other side of town. That's what it does. It sows division, discontent, and it makes the community weaker. That's what it does. Right? And so, you know, I just wanted to get a little bit philosophical there. Yeah, so there you go.